So besties, this video consists of the confessions of a stripper and a dominatrix and everything they learn about men during their field of work. If you want to learn about men, you need to find out from the women who deal with men on a regular basis. These women had so much to expose about men. Some of the things they had to expose are very dark and shocking, and you guys are going to be very shocked. If you're watching this video, get a cup of coffee, get a glass of wine, let us sip into this tea. If you want to learn about men, you need to find out from the women who deal with men on a regular basis, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. I'm going to roll the clip, let us watch, then I'll be sharing my thoughts at the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Please be very nice in the comment section, don't judge anybody, and let us dive into it.
Most husbands hate their wives. They do. I danced for 4 years. I stripped for 4 years. I danced from 2011 to 2015. I know everything there is to know about men, okay? I've never been naive to the bullshit. I found out male nature for what it was at 19 years old. Never been married before. Don't want to ever be married. Don't ever want to have children. I've just seen too much. I know men too much. My father has also been very honest with me about male nature, and just with him being honest just with his own lifestyle, and just how he operates as a man, and even the men that he surrounds himself around, how they operate. And one thing that I noticed at the strip club is that all the married men would trauma dump on me about their wives, how they weren't attracted to their wives anymore. A lot of them lose attraction for their wives after they have children. They start to feel very neglected after their wife has children, and a lot of them complain about how their wives let themselves go. They're fat, they're overweight, they don't look as pretty anymore. They bicker a lot, they fight a lot, they nag a lot, they complain a lot. And I think that this is very important information for a lot of women to understand and know, because I just did a video about this, but too many women believe that because their husband hasn't left them, that their husband likes them. And that couldn't be any further than the truth. This is why most of the demographic of, men that are buying escorts and OnlyFans and stuff like that, most of them are married. Most of I always joke around and I always say, there's no man more single than a married man. And the reason why men that are married cheat so much is because they were sold a dream too. They were, through patriarchy, they were sold a dream too. And they were sold the dream that they were going to get all their needs met from one woman. They were going to get their emotional, their sexual, the domestic things taken care of. They were told that they just needed one woman to do that. And then they quickly realized that that's not the case. And we also have to realize that internally, men struggle a lot. Men don't know how to emotionally regulate on their own. They have to have a woman to help them feel comfortable to, emotionally regulate. And so men realize that the vessel can never be filled. The vessel is going to be, it's insatiable. It's insatiable, the need that they have for women and multiple women. And a lot of them don't like their wives. A lot of them don't. Most of them are just tolerating it. They're just tolerating their wife in a marriage because they still get some benefit. They do. They still get some benefit. And also, a lot of men suffer from male character syndrome. A lot of them, they don't want to be the one to bite the bullet to get a divorce because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy. They rather just have the wife file for divorce and be the one that can just take the heat for breaking up the family. But that is one thing that stripping taught me about men, and that's one reason why I would never get married. If you really were to be a fly on the wall with men and their conversations about women and the conversations about their wives, a lot of women would change their tune on how they view marriage, because I can guarantee you that men aren't viewing it the same way as you. Men aren't, they're saying like, oh, I just fell in love with her and like that's the reason. No, like that's just their politically correct answer. That's just the answer that they have to give so that it will be palatable for people. But when the doors are closed, when the mics are off, when the cameras aren't rolling, and they're in a safe space, they're not saying that that's the reason why they even married the woman in the first place. It's because of something that they're benefiting from in some way, shape, or form. It has nothing to do with the actual woman herself. I'm gonna make a series of these videos about telling you guys what the strip club has taught me about men, but this is the second video technically of me explaining, you know, why and how I know so much about men, and that's the reason why I served men for literally 4 years. I know them very, very well.
The reason why sex workers are such a threat to the patriarchy and misogynists is because they've dropped all pretense. They see directly to the soul of patriarchy.
I love the fact that I can tell you guys that I know so much about men because I spent 20 years as a stripper. That's right, my loves, 20 years not only studying social sciences, but observing men in a habitat where they have no pretenses. When these guys go to the strip club, they're not there to get judged, and they know that, so they let it all fly. You know those married men who were cheaters? They're not ashamed of that in the strip club. You know those good men who are just lonely, they work really hard, long hours, and they want some companionship? They don't hide that either. I've seen it all and everything in between. So I learned more about men in my 20 years of stripping than just about any therapist you'll have in front of you. Because I sat on their laps while they whispered in my ear the things they won't tell a therapist. Those things they're hiding from you because they're trying to get in bed with you, I heard those too.
Guys will always tell you, oh no, we just go to escorts because we're paying them to leave. Not true. You'll never come across a man that uses escorts that wasn't previously addicted to porn. That porn addiction leads to erectile dysfunction. That erectile dysfunction makes them embarrassed to go to real women because they don't know if it's going to work. To avoid the embarrassment, they go straight to escorts because escorts are not going to judge you, and they're also paid for their time, so you don't care that you're letting them down. Ta-da!
Just because you decided to go into sex work does not mean that you should ever be a victim of domestic violence, abuse, or even being unalived. There was one woman who I worked with at the club, and there was a hotel next door, and she was unalived by one of the clients that she went home with in the hotel next door. I've danced with girls who have went missing. I've danced with girls who were in very, very abusive relationships with men, having to give their money to men at the end of the night when they're done working, not having access to their own vehicle, having children by men and their child being put in very compromising and very unsafe situations, so that way the woman has to leave work and she has to miss out on money, so that way, you know, that way she can take care of her children. The predatory nature of men was just very, very apparent in the strip club. Thankfully, nothing happened to me. Thankfully, I never put myself in any of those predicaments, but this is why it's just so imperative for women to just understand the predatory and the dark nature of men, because they're looking for someone weak. They're looking for a good target. They're looking for a good victim. And when you are putting yourselves in predicament where, you know, you have to financially rely on a man, you're codependent, you're mentally unstable, you know, things like that, you're a very good victim for a man to abuse you and to, you know, potentially even may unalive you. And so I understand that this talk is like very, very serious, but this is why I make the content that I make, because I don't want women to lose their life. I don't want women to jeopardize their career, jeopardize their livelihood, you know, throw away their own life because they didn't understand, they weren't equipped with the information, you know, that they needed. Understanding that men are dangerous people is important. Masculinity is directly tied to danger. The only emotion that most men understand is anger, and it's going to be anger taken out on other people. They don't know how to emotionally regulate. They don't. They only know how to act out in anger by some type of physical means. And because you're smaller and because you're more vulnerable, they're going to take it out on you. And if they don't take it out on you, they're going to take it out on their children. There's a lot of women that are in marriages and that are in, long-term committed relationships that they're getting abused and they don't even realize it. They don't even understand the psychological warfare that they're undergoing because a man is doing it. They don't even realize it. And by the time they do realize it, it's too late. They can't put the pieces of the puzzle back together. They're isolated. They have no friends. They have no family. They're far away. They don't have anyone. And then they have children too, which is trapping them and making it even more difficult for them. So, yeah, in short, me just understanding and seeing the dangerous nature of men, it taught me to be very, very protective of myself when it comes to, dealing with men. Don't go over to their house, if you haven't, had a long vetting process with them outside of an intimate environment. Don't give vulnerable locations. Do not tell them where you work at. Do not tell them your whereabouts. Personally, I don't even give if I'm dating, I don't give them my social media. I don't even give them my social media. You have to understand that you have to stay very guarded when it comes to men. And I understand the love, the light, the openness, the vulnerability. Yes, I get that. But they have to earn that. That has to be something that is earned. Because if you just give it to them and they haven't earned it, they're going to abuse it. They're going to abuse the power that you give them by leading them with love. Because they don't understand that language of love. They don't.
What I learned from being a slut in my 20s. The more that you hook up with guys, the less your faith that there are good men out there becomes. And you become a self-fulfilling prophecy by hooking up with guys who don't have good intentions or who just want you for your body. You begin to believe that that's what you deserve and that's all that is out there. More than that, you kind of become addicted to hookup culture for validation. Let me tell you something. When I stopped hooking up with guys, I found myself. I built up a foundation of self-worth and confidence that no man in the world could give me, except for maybe my dog. Yes, it is lonely to be single and not be touched, especially in this super touch-deprived culture, add COVID on top of that. But you know what's lonelier is hooking up with someone and never knowing where you stand. You're welcome.
I was a dominatrix for over 10 years before I met my husband. One of the things that made it so dangerous to be a dominatrix, especially at the time that I started, was it's like you're exposed to the rawest form of whoever that man is. Let me break it down. When a man paid me to have a session, I was getting the rawest, most honest form of whoever that man was that was coming through that door. And that could be either a really amazing thing or it could be a very, very bad thing. This is something that a lot of women who have shared past with me or are currently dominatrices deal with. A lot of safety issues because we are being exposed to men in their rawest form without the mask they wear for their churches, without the mask they wear for their communities, their families, their friends, etc., etc. There were some men that were so lonely and felt so alone that they would pay me just so we can talk to each other for an hour. And then there were the other ones. The ones who felt so powerless in society that they came to women like me to pay me to treat me horribly, to make me indulge in some kind of weird thing that they were into, that in many ways dehumanized me. There were some men that came to see me that just wanted to talk. wanted to just feel vulnerable with someone, because a lot of times society doesn't give men the space to be themselves on an emotional level. And so some men literally just came to me to talk, to be vulnerable, to play music and talk about the music. It was so weird. But I saw that side of men and I felt sad for them. I felt, you know, it's so sad that you don't have this, that you don't have people to talk to about music or to color with you or whatever it is that you want to do and just feel human. So that was one side. The other side was men that were horrible people. They are the gutter of society. They are some of the worst people, some of the most abusive people. And they came to women like me to kind of exercise their right to be a horrible person, because they know that if I go to the cops, right, and I say I was violated in some kind of way by this guy and I'm a dominatrix, we're not going to be taken seriously, especially not when I started again. So it was a thing of being exposed to all these different forms of men, being exposed to this range of men, and then also knowing that I'm seeing the truth about who this person really is, right? Because I'm alone in a room with them. They could hurt me. They could not hurt me. Like, you know, they can give me a hard time. They cannot give me a hard time. But, you know, you learn a lot about people as the type of woman that I am or was, right? Because you see exactly who they are, unfortunately. So in a lot of my previous videos, I talk a lot about giving to men, receiving from men. Why am I talking about men? Oh my God, right? And the reason is because being a dominatrix and then being a wife, right, really changed the way I see men. Both of those experiences, not just being a dominatrix, it's also being a wife now, right? And being on the other side of that fence, if you know what I'm saying. So I think I learned how to get whatever I want from men through being a dominatrix. But I learned how to care for a man from being married. And I think, yes, there are some horrible people, as I was exposed to, and I'm very open about that, and I will continue to be open about that. There are some horrible men out there, but I've seen so many misunderstood men, and I feel like those are the men that I want some of you ladies to find, right? Like, find the men that are good, because they are out there, but I need you to stop looking in the usual places that we look, because I'm telling you from experience, like, a lot of those politicians, a lot of those celebrities, a lot of those people that all the women chase, they're not the best people. And one day I am going to talk about my experiences with some of that stuff, but please trust me on this. Some of the high earning men, the high value men, the men that are that you always see in the news, the politicians, just, I need you to understand that a lot of them behind closed doors are not the best people. And I'm going to leave that one right there. I want to start steering women and giving women advice about how to find those other men. The ones that, like, are literally just misunderstood and maybe like a little weird, or like they may be a little, I don't know, spicy or whatever it is. Like, they're just generally just misunderstood men. And I need women out there to know that those are the men, believe it or not, like those nerdy guys, those, like, oh, you know, those guys that, like, you may think that they're bad just because, right? Like, those are the men, they're out there. They are good people, because I was exposed to a lot of these people, and they are good people. And so I want to make videos for the girls that want to get married one day, that want the fairy tale ending, because people told me for years I wouldn't get it, right? Like, you're a dominatrix, nobody's gonna marry you. I heard that for years. And I just want to say, like, I just knew what kind of man to look for because of my experiences. I knew, like, there are some dominatrices that, like, literally they are exposed to all of this stuff just like I was, and even they don't get it. So, like, I'm not saying this is a universal language we all understand. What I'm trying to say is, like, I've been exposed enough to men in a way that made me know what man to look for if I was looking for them. And that's why I have my submissives. That's why I have my husband. That's why I'm really good friends with so many men. And that's why I'm able to help so many women find the right man. I want women to understand that they have options in this world, and every man is not meant to be matched with anyone. Some of them are not deserving of the attention or energy of any woman. And instead of focusing on the man that hurt you, or the men that hurt you, right, and are not good people and this and that, which I acknowledge, they are out there, yes. There's no excuses for their existence, to be quite frank, right? But, like, we need to stop blaming all men because a couple of men are bad people. Find the good men. I want to show you how to do that. That is all. Cheers.
That is why I take the advice from these women very seriously. And these are experiences, real life experiences they had with their clients, they had with men who are fathers, who are husbands, who are boyfriends to some of you watching this video. Most of these men have weird sex fetishes. They cannot share this fetish with you. They cannot show you the kind of things they like in the bedroom. They will rather pretend, act like this is what they like. Whereas when they meet an escort, if you guys know some of the weird sex fetish some men have, and these men are in relationships with you, they will never let you know they are into this type of things in the bedroom. Some of the fetishes guys have when it comes to sex are very dark, in such a way that they won't show you. They are so ashamed of this fetish. It is so dark they can't even show you, because they are scared of getting judged by you, who is their wife or their partner. But when they meet an escort, they are going to do all the things they want to do with this woman. There are a lot of these men who satisfy their sexual fantasies with escorts, with strippers, with dominatrix. These women know about their sex fantasies more than you. But you, on the other hand, who is the wife, the girlfriend, the baby mama, you have no idea about it, because he's ashamed to show you his raw true form. But when he meets a woman who is paying for sex, he's going to do anything with her. There are a lot of these men who they objectify women. These women know more about your man than you do. Do you guys know that most of the times when a man is unable to satisfy a woman in the bedroom, it is because he is so fond of having sex with escorts? They don't care about making these women orgasm. They don't care about pleasing these women to maximum satisfaction. Let me tell you guys one truth a lot of you don't know. So many men who cannot satisfy a woman sexually in the bedroom is because they are fond of sleeping with escorts. And when they sleep with these women, they don't see the need satisfying these women sexually. They don't see the need doing too much to give these women an orgasm. They care about their own satisfaction. All they care about is to ejaculate. But when this guy meets you, and when he gets into a relationship with you, since he's so fond of sleeping with escorts and not being able to satisfy a woman, because he doesn't really care about the satisfaction of an escort, he cannot satisfy you, because he's never really taken out time to please a woman sexually in the bedroom. That is why you're going to be in a relationship with a dude, and in the minute you guys have sex, this man cannot last up to 5 minutes. He cannot last long in bed, because he had the lifestyle of sleeping with escorts, paying these women for sex just to ejaculate. And now when it comes to pleasing a woman he's in a relationship with, he cannot do it, because subconsciously all he knows how to do is to satisfy himself. He has trained his mind, trained his manhood to satisfy just himself, to the point where when he gets into a relationship, he finds it difficult to satisfy his woman. Because all he spent his time doing before he met you was paying for sex and getting sex from escorts.
Guys will always tell you, oh no, we just go to escorts because we're paying them to leave. Not true. You'll never come across a man that uses escorts that wasn't previously addicted to porn. That porn addiction leads to erectile dysfunction. That erectile dysfunction makes them embarrassed to go to real women because they don't know if it's going to work. To avoid the embarrassment, they go straight to escorts because escorts are not going to judge you, and they're also paid for their time, so you don't care that you're letting them down. Ta-da!
So if you want to know a man who is fond of sleeping with escorts, this is usually a man who cannot satisfy a woman in the bedroom, because most of these men, they objectify these women. A man who is fond of paying for sex, he objectifies women. He cannot go above and beyond to please you in the bedroom because he has trained his mind and his manhood to last for a certain period of time, which is only the time frame where he can satisfy himself. But after that time frame passes, when it comes to pleasing a woman he's in a relationship with, he cannot do it